Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Now, I want to break this down a bit because, well, first of all, nobody is buying the story whatsoever. There have been a lot of claims in recent days, and obviously, as we've seen from left, right, doesn't matter where you are, everyone's kind of in agreement that something is not quite right about this story. So what I want to go into is a few of the things that have come up in the news as of recently, because this is huge news. It's something that we've been predicting for a very long time. I mean, it goes without saying. The guy was accused of being an intelligence agent by many people, including people within the Trump administration, and it caused a lot of uproar when people insinuated that, well, maybe he might have been a Mossad agent and that possibly he was part of getting blackmail on people within the elite structure. So obviously that was huge news, and they were expecting him to testify. So what happens when someone is asked to testify against a bunch of people like that? Well, you can only imagine what happens. Well, he's found dead of an apparent suicide in his prison cell, which makes zero sense because he was on suicide watch and then suddenly wasn't, and that's when all this happens. Does anyone buy that for a second? The answer is no. And by the way, if you're wondering, I am in Venice, Italy, because this story decided to come up right as I got here. So anyway, a lot of people are saying that he was obviously suicided, that he was killed. And I think that's a good assumption to make, considering all the stuff he knew on so many people. So anyway, here are the facts. Epstein told guards weeks before he apparently hanged himself, as this Daily Mail article says, that someone tried to kill him. Questions mount over why billionaire pedophile was taken off suicide watch just as sex slave lawsuit named powerful friends, including Prince Andrew. And of course, Prince Andrew was accused of groping underage girls at a lot of these Epstein parties. Now again, one thing that I've mentioned a few times in videos in the past is that how do you think that they get so many politicians to be complacent? I mean, it's a criminal racket, so you can imagine, but what do? Well, they first of all get blackmail on them, and there was a lot of talk a couple years ago about cameras being on the Lolita Express, the airplane that Jeffrey Epstein apparently had a bunch of these parties on. Pictures have come out of Jeffrey Epstein being wheeled away from the hospital. I'm not going to show those on the screen, but a lot of people are insinuating that he was switched out with another person. I'm not sure about that. It seems like the perfect situation to get rid of a guy who is about to testify against a bunch of elites as a potential Mossad agent or FBI agent. And guess what? The FBI and DOJ are investigating. Well, what happens when you have the FBI and DOJ investigating something that in many cases people are accusing them of doing this? Well, I'm sure they'll find no wrongdoing. It's ridiculous. It's like if you accuse someone of murder, let's get that guy that you just accused of murder to investigate the potential murder. Obviously, you know what they're going to find. It's ridiculous. But anyway, as this article points out, Jeffrey Epstein was found hanged in his prison cell at Metropolitan Correctional Center on Saturday morning. Sources who'd seen Epstein recently told DailyMail.com there was no indication he might try to take own life. Insider further claims pedophile had told prison guards and other inmates he feared someone tried to kill him. Epstein, 66, was briefly hospitalized on July 24th after being found semi-conscious on the floor of his jail cell. Billionaire was not on suicide watch at the time of his death, sparking outrage from top Washington figures. Attorney General Will Barr has ordered both the FBI and Inspector General to open investigations into death, and as we know now, that is reality. Suicide comes 24 hours after court documents were unsealed, implicating powerful men in sex scandals. So again, people are blaming Clinton, people are blaming Trump, people are blaming whoever they can blame. We don't know the answers yet, but I think it's a good exercise in getting people to question these things, even if both sides are wrong, who knows? But, we've seen the Clinton death count. But, I mean, nonetheless, I think it's a really good thing to see so many people vigilantly going, come on, this is ridiculous. I think they are exposed. I think they have gone too far this time. I think that they have put themselves in the public eye far too much now with this story, because nobody buys it. Seriously, nobody buys it. The most anti-conspiracy theory people I know of don't buy this. Now, of course, I'm still gonna end up getting demonetized and whatever on YouTube for doing this video, because it's considered conspiracy content, but I mean, come on. If it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. It's, or Clinton, whatever you want to call it. But again, all these people were implicated. Bill Clinton went on the pedophile Lolita Express on a number of occasions. I believe last time I checked it was 26, but it keeps going up, and he ditched Secret Service agents on a whole bunch of those trips. So why? Why would he do that? Well, there's a lot of questions to be raised. It could be complete innocence, but considering over 80 people have come out against him for potential rape and assault, I think there's a bit more to this story. And of course, Trump went on the jet too and went to his island. But as far as that goes, again, I don't want to turn this into an issue of, you know, politics or anything like that, because this is something that includes vulnerable children being abused, and it's a horrible thing, absolutely horrible thing. So I think it's best that we stay vigilant on this and don't jump to any conclusions, but at the same time ask all the appropriate questions. And I think that's exactly what's happening right now. And I think that it'll end in, you know, a lot more people turning into, I guess you could say, the Alex Joneses or whatever when it comes to these kinds of stories, because it takes something like this to wake a whole bunch of people up and make them question new things, and that'll mean that they'll question the next story and the next one, and that turns a lot of people into, well, people like us. So again, we don't want to jump to conclusions, but we should ask all the questions, and I think that this gives us an opportunity to do just that. So anyway, I think that we are going to be hearing a lot more of this sometime soon. I'm sure the news cycle is going to try and get rid of this story completely, and we will be getting a lot of distraction stories coming up in the next few days, of course. I mean, it goes without saying that they're going to try and change the headlines, because this is too obvious. I mean, all of the memes that were coming out alone, remember, this world is run by memes these days. All the memes that were coming out alone about this before it happened, saying, oh, I wonder how long until he gets suicided. I mean, that says enough alone. Then it happens, and it's like, oh, I thought, like, I knew it was gonna happen, but I also wondered, are they that crazy? Are they truly that crazy that they're going to do this, despite everyone realizing that obviously it would expose them even more so than they already are? When people were questioning this before it happened and making jokes about it, then it happens. I think there's a lot to be said about that. But nonetheless, I think it's a good thing for truth, but a bad thing for all the people that need to be exposed, because every time something like this happens, they end up suicided or dead or whatever, and they'll end up with 2 bullet shots to the back of their head as a suicide. So I think we're gonna find out more soon, but there's also one other person that I want to bring into this, because her name was Ghislaine Maxwell. Her father ended up dead years ago of an apparent suicide, jumping off a yacht or something. And Ghislaine was one of the main people involved with Epstein, a close associate. And I think that's where the next question comes in. When are they going to get rid of her or question her, one or the other? Or are they going to cover up the story? We won't hear anything about it again, just like how they allowed Epstein out of jail after originally getting implicated in all of these horrible things. So there's a lot to be asked. There's a lot of questions still, and that's why I'm just doing this video not as a bottom line, this is the answer, but as a, you know, here are the questions we need to ask, and are we going to get those answers? I don't know, but let's keep asking them. Anyway, I'm wandering around Venice, Italy here right now. Not the worst problem to have. I'm gonna try and get this video up now. It's daytime here and nighttime in the United States, so I gotta wait a little bit. That's why I've been late getting the video up, because by the time I heard about the news, it was already nighttime here. And yeah, so it's first thing in the morning. I had my first cup of coffee and now I'm gonna try and get this up. But let's keep questioning all these stories. I don't think official stories have ever been as questioned and as doubted as we see today. And that means less chance of wars based on faulty stories and, you know, false flags and things like that. Less chance of, you know, faceless protests and riots and stuff based on what the media tells us to be angry about. And less chance of people being fooled. Now, of course, the majority of people are still gonna be largely fooled by things, but with that said, it's an identity, not an opinion. So I think the people that are really passionate about truth, whether left or right or outside of that spectrum, are questioning things more now than they ever have before. And that's what really matters, is the people with the loudest voices and the most in-depth opinions, whether we agree with them or not, are questioning things now more than ever. So anyway, I'm gonna stop ranting. There's 93% humidity here in Venice right now, which is completely deadly. Beautiful 14th century church behind me. Beautiful things to look at, and every American that walks by me is like, why are you talking about a pedophile? That's really not what we come here to Venice to hear, trying to relax, and I'm just like talking about Jeffrey Epstein. But it's a story that needs to be talked about, so I'll be back at you guys with much more. I'm gonna try and keep up with this as best as I can. Our internet isn't good here, so we're doing what we can to bring you all the stories. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, as we are so heavily demonetized and shadow banned to a crazy extent. We have lost about 80% of our reach since the beginning of this year as they rip away subscribers, etc. It has gotten out of control, and it's becoming more and more difficult to stay alive here on World Alternative Media, bringing you guys free content every day. You can also check our Bitcoin address in the description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out on all these other alternatives like Subscribestar, where we are doing subscriber only content for people at the $4.99 US a month tier and up. We really appreciate it. You could tip us on there and pledge anything, but from $4.99 and up, we are giving people subscriber only content that you won't find here on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, there are so many alternatives for YouTube these days, including BitChute, which we are on at World Alternative Media, as well as, of course, the new flote.app, flote.app, where they are truly replacing all of these social medias, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Reddit, and of course, Twitch and Patreon, all in one place, and it is truly incredible what they are doing. We are moving over there in mass, as well as BitChute, BitTube, Steemit at Josh Sigurdson, all those other places, as well as PocketNet. We are on as well at World Alternative Media. There's so many options today, and we're trying to get into as many of them as possible because we need to back ourselves up. We are winning this information war, but we are getting to a point where they're cracking down more desperately than ever, and we got to do whatever we can to stay alive, as it's getting more and more difficult all the time. We also have events coming up, including Anarchadelphia 2019, which will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in September. Check out thestateofanarchy.com and anarchadelphia.com. Linked below, use promo code WAM, W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to this amazing conference, as Anarchy is going viral. Also, make sure to check out the Winnipeg Crypto Conference in October. Also, use promo code WAM, another great event with amazing speakers, and of course, Anarchapulco, the one and only, in February 2020, which you can also use promo code WAM for WAM and save 10%. There's so many things that you can do to help independent media, including just pressing like, sharing, clicking the notification button, doing whatever you can to help keep this free information alive that's alternative to the mainstream. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.